Hello everyone, my name is Francisco Lacuzong-Rios. So before I start my video, I would definitely like to introduce myself so you guys get a little bit of feel on my background before I get into the information which I'm going to present. I am a Army veteran. I was in active duty for about 6 years. I definitely have some experience underneath my belt. I had a couple tours overseas myself. I've been to Afghanistan, Kuwait, Qatar, Israel, Egypt. I've been all over the place. I'm also an LVN. I didn't start as an LVN when I was in the Army. I actually did something completely the opposite, but now I am an LVN working for Kaiser, and I'm also working in the emergency room. So for about 5, 6 months now, so I got some experience there as well. And this next portion, I would definitely ask the crowd some questions just to get a better feel of who's here. But unfortunately, I'm talking to a video, so we're just gonna have to press on with that. So the reason why I'm making this video is to help inform parents on how to respond to sports injuries and how important it is to follow the proper steps to assessing your hurt athlete. I know this kind of goes to more of the medical staff, but I mean, even if any parents would like to go out and better inform themselves to how to help if no medical staff is in the area, hey, I'm all for it. Go for it, folks. So first thing you want to do, obviously, just kind of assess the area. Obviously, check the area, make sure it's safe to even approach to even get to your athlete. Because you can't really do too much if you're hurt and your athlete's hurt. You're not really helping the situation. And the best rule of thumb would be following the ABCs. That's kind of the thing that we all follow in the medical field, which is airway, breathing, and circulation. I think there was an article I read in the National Library of Medicine states this. The airway, breathing, circulation, disability, and exposure approach is applicable in all clinical emergencies for immediate assessment and treatment. I think that definitely falls suit exactly what we're going to be going into. And also, the main reason too, also to this video, or another reason, would be the fact that what happened to Damar Hamlin back it was in January 1st during Monday Night Football. I think that really opened up a lot of people's eyes on how just so sudden something can happen and how important it is for the first people to respond to really assess what's going on. I know it's kind of hard to really see what was going on, but the first responders have to make a clinical judgment call. And when the ABCs aren't being met, specifically in the first and second, um, CPR is definitely need to be done because if the person's not breathing and there's no air going in and out, they're not breathing, you don't see the circulation in their hands and feet are obviously not being shown, there's an issue there. So, like I said, kudos points to those guys that were able to respond to that. So, assessing the surrounding area, that's definitely a key thing. Let's get into that. Definitely a key thing to get into because, like I said earlier, how can you help somebody if you're hurt too? You're just now instead of one person hurt, there's a second. But yes, before even approaching, always make sure the area is clear of danger. Uh, Look to yourself and ask yourself, is there any hazards that's causing you from getting to that person or something that's causing that person to be where they're at in this hurt state? Definitely a key thing is to kind of look forward. But once clear, definitely approach um, the athlete and just ask the basic commands of, hey, are you okay? Can you hear me? If those are met and they are able to respond, okay, go ahead and proceed to finding out where the injured area is. But if it begins to the point where they're not able to answer, um, you definitely have to go on to the next steps, which I'm going to go ahead and do right now as we speak. So if they're unresponsive, try and roll the person over. Now you have to roll the person over safely, just due to the fact that you don't know what kind of injury they have. So you have to make sure that the head and body are aligned. So one person, you may need to have a second person, but if not, you have to roll them over very slowly onto their backside so you can really get a better assessment on what's going on. So once you have them rolled over and their head and body are aligned, the best thing to be start with is checking the airway. Checking the airway is always a key thing to kind of go over because you never know if something could be obstructing the mouth, could be their tongue, or it could be their mouthpiece. Whatever the case may be, it's definitely something to kind of look over as well. And then also checking breathing. Checking breathing, you can definitely see by looking at the chest. And you definitely looking at the chest, seeing the rise and fall of the chest, because obviously when you breathe, you know your lungs are expanding and pushing out air. Definitely a lot of things to kind of look over. Oh, and also to hear the sounds that are going on, because somebody could just be breathing, but they could be gasping, and definitely an unusual sound that could be very alarming. That could be an issue too. There might be something wrong with the lungs, but that's something a little bit more extreme. But notice that if you meet these criteria where the airways, there's no air coming out, you don't see the chest rising and falling, definitely CPR is needed to be administered, which definitely will obviously would save the life of Damar Hamlin. But again, we will get into that also as well. The next thing to check would be circulation. Circulation would be a key thing to kind of look at too as well, because you always want to check the skin. It's easy as squeezing a finger, um, pushing down on any of the limbs. You can definitely see there's circulation going through the body just by the fact that it changes color. That definitely does help. But going into after talking about all that, I think with what happened, like I said, on that Monday night football game was definitely a very scary sight. Seeing what happened to that young man, Damar Hamlin, was definitely something unexpected. When reading an article of his, or an article on him by Stephen Lawson wrote a article called "What Happened to Damar Hamlin and How it is Different Than a Heart Attack." There was a part in it that stated, "Comatio carditis occurs when a blunt force trauma to the chest causes an electrical malfunction that leads to a cardiac arrest." Obviously, when you reviewed the play, you definitely seen how that was applied. I mean, he was coming in for a nice form tackle. He got hit in the chest just a little too hard, and yeah, that traumatic event to the chest definitely caused his heart to stop, which we've all seen. He literally stood up and fell over, not knowing what was going on. The first responders were able to get to him and assess him. Like I said, checked they checked down A, B, and C, and obviously he didn't meet those criteria, so they began to do CPR. And I think CPR is definitely a key thing for any of us to kind of learn. Like I said, you can go and find more information about that very easily. Just look up anything with your local Red Cross. You can actually go to any hospital, and I'm pretty sure they will help refer you to where to get certified on CPR. I think it's a very key thing everybody should learn, especially in this situation here. So, all in all, I think, like I said, Damar Hamlin was definitely something that definitely woke up a lot of people's eyes on safety and learning the whole ABCs of recognizing when somebody is very unconscious, they're no longer breathing, and all that. That was definitely a very scary sight. And I think even with young athletes, a lot of things seem to what's the word I'm looking for? Look over. I think the old mentality of how things were back in the day definitely don't apply now for how many people, how many kids and young athletes, even athletes nowadays, are still um, getting sports injuries, even ones that we don't think that are how to say you just walk it off. Like in an article I read, a guide to safety for young athletes. An article in Ortho Info I read. It states historically concussions were not thought to be serious. The term "they had their bell rung" is not something we should really take lightly. That old saying definitely can't really apply to these days, because when you get your bell rung, nowadays we know that's definitely a sign of a concussion, and that's something that should be taken very seriously. But that's really it for that. Again, this would be a moment where I would ask anybody, hey, is there any questions? But again, I'm talking to a video, and there's not really much I can really get out of that. But that's it. I really do appreciate everybody's time. I hope everybody enjoyed this video, and I thank you.